So Wolf Pirate 333 asked me why I had so many pen names. Well, I didn't at first. I had 15 novels published, all under my real name. However, when I started taking classes on author branding, I realized I was doing myself a disservice and possibly confusing my readers. If someone was a fan of my historical fantasy and then saw my time travel adventure and bought it to read, if that's not a genre they enjoy, they'd feel put out and possibly even review it poorly. So I broke out my main genres. Historical fantasy and nonfiction I kept under my real name. There's a few reasons for that, but mostly because historical fantasy is my first love, and I have more novels under that than any other, so it was harder to shift it to a new name. The nonfiction I kept under my real name as well, as the credentials I had to be an expert in those subjects are under my real name. No changing that. So I currently only have one time travel book, though I did write a sequel during NaNoWriMo, and I moved that one to C.N. Jackson. Jackson is my maiden name, and the N represents my married name initial, so just a shift around to make it more like a sci-fi author name. For urban fantasy, I had written a trilogy, but had not yet released the first book, so this was a great time to quickly shift to Rowan Dillon. I wanted a name with an Irish flair, and Dillon is actually a name from my Irish ancestry. Rowan is a name I've always loved, and it has a witchy, mystical feeling to it. Now, for women's fiction and romance, I sort of shoved those two together. The audiences of those two genres overlap a bit more than some others, and I've only written one book in each, Better to Have Loved and Past Storm and Fire. I don't anticipate writing more at this time, but who knows. For that genre, I chose Emmeline Reese. Permelia Emmeline Reese was my great-great-grandmother's name, and I thought that sounded wonderful for that genre. Once I am caught up on re-releasing the rest of my publications that I bought back from my publisher, I've got 5 more to go, and getting out the sequel to Time Tourist Outfitters and the third Taming of the Few book, I'm thinking of my next big project. And because I am so scattershot in what I love writing, I've been percolating a paranormal cozy mystery series set in Ireland, of course. I could see that being put under the historical fantasy umbrella or the urban fantasy umbrella, as all of those are also in Ireland, or it might warrant a new pen name. What do you think?